So our brain is wired to keep us safe, always wants to keep us safe and away from harm. And when sometimes that what is safe to us isn't necessarily the best thing. What is safe is what the brain just sees as familiar. So what I want you to start doing over the next week is just to start recognize the power of your words. What are the things that you are saying to yourself? Just start to notice habits. Are you putting yourself down? Are you saying you're not good enough? Are you cursing to yourself? Even as jokes. So what are the things that you are saying to yourself? Because the more, if we are speaking more negatively about ourselves all the time, even as a joke, if all of those things, your brain's going to perceive that as true. It's going to perceive that as truth, and it's going to want to continue with that. So I really, really want you to think that what we are thinking and how they come across, it's really, really powerful. It really makes a big difference when you start to see how much what we're saying and thinking really affects our overall goals and our overall, your wellness journey. So if you're looking to, you are looking for weight loss and you're calling yourself fat, you're saying you're not good enough, I could never do that. When we're constantly saying those things, then we're not going to, your brain's going to be thinking that that's the truth. And it's not the truth. It's going to be thinking that's the truth. So you're already making life harder for yourself. So we want to start recognizing the stories that we're telling ourselves. What are you saying to yourself about weight loss or the goal that you're looking to achieve? What are you saying to yourself about yourself? How do you speak about yourself to others or to people around you? We want to have this inner confidence and confidence in your ability to achieve your goal and to get there. And when we are always talking negatively and saying those things, then that's what we're going to portray out. Really believe that how much this makes a difference to your results in your life. And a few years ago, I made a really, really conscious effort to really think about my words and really think about how I spoke and how I speak about others. And I made a conscious decision to not be around bitching. And the power of your words as well is who you're around and who we're around and who, what we're involving ourselves in. If you're always around people that are negative and bitching and saying nasty things, all of that, that's the reality that you're creating around yourself. And before I made this decision, when you would be out with friends or you'd be with someone and they would start saying something negative or whatever, I would either join in or I would just, so I would join in or I agree, or it really doesn't help, and it's not nice. So I made this real conscious effort to not speak that way about myself or about anyone else around me. And if I'm around people that are doing that, I just remove myself from that situation, because I just don't want to be like that, and I don't think that's helpful to anyone. So, we really want to think about the power of your words and how they have a massive influence over how you're feeling, over how you act, and, and what you're doing. And when we're always thinking negatively or speaking negatively, then that's what's going to portray out. I'll give you an example of a friend situation I was in, and this was probably one of the biggest eye-openers for me. Is we went away camping in a group for someone's birthday. So we went away camping, and there was like people that we knew. So one girl, when we got there, she said hello and cornered me, and there was people we also didn't know. So she cornered me and started talking about this other girl who I'd never met before. And she was bitching about her and speaking about her. And I guess that she felt there was sides, and she wanted me, I guess, to take her, side on the situation. So she and even my son came up and he asked me for something, and the friend's like, nope, I'm telling mum this story. You can't bother her. Why? She continued with this, and I found myself wanting to get away from her. I wanted to get away from her because it was it just wasn't nice. And this person she was bitching about, I didn't even know her. I didn't know her, and I wasn't going to take on that judgment of her, but I didn't want to. I just didn't want to hear it. So then for the rest of the time that we were camping, because this person, I guess, was in quite a negative headspace, she kind of only had negative things to say about anything. And I found myself trying to avoid her. And she's a lovely person, but I found myself trying to avoid her because I just didn't want to be around that stuff. On the same camping trip, I had another friend who I have never, ever heard her say a bad word about anybody. Never. And she's just a really happy person. Even if things don't go her way, I haven't heard her say anything nasty. And I found myself more attracted to spending time with her because of how she acted. And I thought, I want to be more like the friend, I want to be more like the friend that didn't have anything bad to say. I just that's the energy that I like, the people I want to be around, and that makes me feel good about myself, not bitching and moaning about somebody. And that was, one of the things that I really chose from that point to take that on board and to make that my choice in how I acted. I just thought, and I'm really conscious of what I say, because I think, and the thing that I always I teach my kids all the time is, if you have to say something bad about somebody else, that is how you're feeling about yourself. So if you have to say something bad about yourself, that is probably how you're feeling about yourself inside. Because somebody that is truly happy and confident and content with themselves, they don't need to say anything negative, and they don't. And I just made this conscious choice from that weekend was a big eye-opener with that, because I just don't want to be around people like that. So I want you to think about, how are you speaking, and who are you spending your time with, and how are you speaking about yourself, people around you, and is it really nice? Is it really serving you? Is it really nice? Is it really getting you to where you want to be? I understand things frustrate me. Yes, they do. I am not perfect. And yes, things annoy me and they frustrate me. But I really make a choice. I really make a conscious choice to not bitch and moan and all that all the time, because I don't think it helps anybody. I don't think it helps anybody. Sometimes when I'm really, really frustrated at things, I like to write it out, get my pen and my paper and I write it out. I can, I'll say to my husband, I'm feeling upset about this, or I'm frustrated at this. And that's fine, because we've got to get those frustrations out, because yes, we do. But I think if we spend our life bitching and moaning and all that about people, that is what your brain's seeing and the world around you is like. So let's think about the power of your words. So the power of your words and how we can really change to ourselves to be in a more positive mindset. I'll give you another example. I had a couple of years ago, I had my gran move in with us, and this was just for short term, so it was for 6 months, and it was stressful. My gran is my best friend. I adore my gran. She's amazing. She was, going through she was elderly and, having to change. She moved states and whatever else. So it was rough for her, but it was also fitting in the dynamic of our house with children and whatever. And at the same point, she moved in with us because my parents were building a house. So it was quite stressful, and I adore my gran. And so I wanted to do all the right things by her, but it was quite difficult to juggle my children, my husband, and my business and everything. So I did find it really hard, but I knew it was only short term, and I wanted to do the very, very best for her, because I knew that it was difficult for her to move here. So I knew all of that, but it was stressful. But I made this decision, even though I knew it was stressful, I made this decision that I wasn't going to speak about it in that way. That I wasn't going to speak about it being horrible or stressful or any of those things. I was only going to speak about it positively, because that's what I wanted. I wanted the experience to be more positive and to come across that way. So I made that decision. And during the time that she was here, I didn't. And I also knew that if I started, and I only know this from experience, and if I started saying one like negative thing, I knew it would kind of open up or if I started admitting it was really stressful, and I knew it would then start to open up a whole other thing, and I didn't want that. So I chose to only speak about it positively, and it definitely affected the rest the time that she was here. And I wouldn't want to have spoken about it. It was stressful, but that's, but I wouldn't want to have spoken about it negatively, because I think that then would have skyrocketed, of those types of feelings. So I just want you to really think about how powerful your words are, and how powerful that line of thinking can be, and it can set you on it can really set you on a not a great trajectory. Now, in all of this, I'm not saying don't, yes, we do feel negative. There is times we can feel down or whatever, but the choice is in how quickly you get back up and you keep moving forward. So I'll give you another example. My son broke his leg, and it was, it was horrible. When he broke his leg, for the first week, he was awake every night crying. When my son broke his leg, we didn't realize that he'd broken his leg. So we didn't realize that he'd broken his leg. So we left him for 2 hours. We were on the soccer field, and we made him sit there for 2 hours with a broken leg before we took him to the hospital. So we felt really guilty. We felt really guilty about that. So my husband, in his guilt, I guess he more went introvert. So he went into himself and he withdrew, where Cooper really needed us at that time. And so I was really tired. I was still trying to run my business, get, my daughter to school, get all those other things sorted. And Lee was kind of just feeling crap about the situation, but he wasn't helping. And I was getting frustrated. I was frustrated at him, and I was getting frustrated at Cooper, because he couldn't go to the toilet himself. He couldn't do anything. He was hurting. He was awake every 2 hours needing pain medication. And I was frustrated, and I knew I was getting frustrated and cranky, and that wasn't what was going to help anybody in the situation. And again, I've only learnt this from experience. Then decided to write, so put Cooper to bed, and I wrote out how I was feeling. So I acknowledged that I was feeling frustrated. I was feeling angry, and even though it wasn't Cooper's fault, all of those things, I wrote it out, acknowledged all of those feelings, and I just got it out of my head. I stopped letting it live in here. I got it all out of my head. And this is why I love journaling so much. I got it all out of my head. And I knew this because I didn't want to go to bed and wake up in the morning and feel the same way. And again, the only reason I know this is because I've done it before. Because I've went to bed and been like, it'll be fine in the morning, and got up in the morning and still had those feelings. So I was like, I need to get this out. I need to get it out and get it on paper, because I don't want to keep taking it with me. And so this is what I want. I want you to get this awareness. Oh, and when I did, I woke up in the morning and I was fine. I just need to get it out. I needed to get it out, but I didn't need to get it out by being angry or bitching or any of those things. I needed to just acknowledge how I felt, accept that I felt frustrated and, in the situation I was in. And again, it was no one's fault, but I acknowledged all of that. And I felt fine in the morning, and I could carry on with everything and get through everything okay, a lot better, because I'd cleared, I'd got it out of my head. And that's what I'm asking. I want you to think about your words. So the power of your words, they are very powerful. And we just want to think about what we are thinking. What are the stories we're telling ourselves? What are these things? What are we saying about ourselves all the time? And how are we dealing with these situations? And so when we can start to become acknowledge this, start to become aware, then we can look at changing it. We can look at changing it, because trust me, it really holds you back. And it takes over, and we only want to we give ourselves enough of a hard time that in our heads, and we want to give ourselves the best chances of feeling good about ourselves, having lots of energy, and getting the results that you're looking for.